And hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing co host. Is he here? I hope he is. Well, Stephen the Medium should be here somewhere, I think. Am I online? Okay, so I don't know what's going on, but I just thought that Stephen the Medium, my amazing co-host, my husband, my better half, was here, but somehow he disappeared. So I'm sure he will join us when he's able. But today we have an amazing show, and it's an amazing show for a number of reasons. The subject is really about learning to rewrite your
Hello.
future. Oh, you decided to show up?
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I just could hear you guys, but you couldn't hear me. Stephen Frederick is in the house.
Stephen Frederick is in the house. I was just talking about our show today, Stephen. We have an amazing show, and it's amazing for a number of reasons. Number one, the subject of the show is about rewriting your life. And we have a guest, somebody that you're very familiar with because she is the person who helped you edit and write your book, The Suicide Gift. And the topic of the show is rewriting your life, going from an educator to an entrepreneur. But in this case, pun intended, because she really does what she does. She helps people rewrite, their whatever it is that they want to, whatever message they want to send to the world. And in your case, it was about sending a message about your life and sharing that with others. So I'm excited to have
Yes.
her here because I never got to meet her.
Yes. And
And
let me just clarify that it wasn't, she didn't just help me. She did all the editing. I wrote the book, but she edited the book she's just amazing.
and so it's really wonderful to be able to have a conversation with Sam Clark today, and she's going to be very instrumental because the next book coming out is going to be my book, and she's going to have a very important role in the editing of my book. So, but before we get to that, Stephen, there's plenty going on. So tell people what it's going on, what you're up to. I know you have a big show coming up this Sunday, and what what's life been like for you the past few days?
Wait a minute. I didn't know that you already talked to Sam about editing your book.
We're going to talk about it today.
Oh, is this a
I'm
surprise?
I'm
Is this like, wait a minute,
creating.
wait, is this like Maury Povich or Jerry Springer? Like, surprise, Sam?
No, I'm just thinking. She's here for a reason, and that this is part of the reason. I'm already thinking into the future. I'm
Listen,
already rewriting my future.
and
How
I
about
love
that?
that. I love that because I'm telling you, you cannot be in better hands. And I just can't wait to get into to having a conversation with her. So what's going on with me? Well, it's just a lot of love. That's it. Just a lot of love. I this morning went out to the back as I always do and did a 4.5 mile run with me and the trees and the cranberry bog and crows and animals. So like you start off your day like that, it just can't get anything but better, right?
And but you get to create what that better looks like in the way that you just speak it like that. That's how the day is gonna show up. That's
You know what, Elix? I think so. I just had a reading with someone yesterday, and it was, I never know what's going to happen in readings, so they're all different. It was almost like theme based, that all this woman's loved ones were just talking about that she's in this transition mode, and just really wanted to focus on how everything starts internally and not externally. So, when you're thinking and feeling like, I hate my job, I don't like my life, why is this going wrong? I don't get a break, all of that. That's all the perspective externally, and it never changes because it's it's externally, and it can't change externally. It has to start internally. So they really focused on talking to her about how proud they are that she's actually been changing things, and it's because she was doing more stuff internally, which I love. And we were just talking about it. You know, one of the things I do too, which I think I picked up with Wishes Fulfilled under oh my God, what's his name?
I don't know.
Oh my God, the one that was he's pretty incredible. He passed away from Hay House Helix. You know his books. I can't think of his name. This was an older book that I finished reading, and one of the things that he talked about was every night before you go to sleep, the last thought in your head to have the greatest day the next day has to be something good. It has to be something either you're just grateful for that particular day that happened, or just anything that's grateful, just a positive thought. Because when you go into that sleep mode and start getting into alpha and delta, and that's really where it sort of cements that last thought. So the next morning, it even if you wake up with a pain in your leg from whatever, you're still not going to have that mindset that is, oh my God, this is my day I'm starting off with, and it's going to be completely different. It's
Wayne
just going
Dyer.
to be so positive.
Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer, that's it.
Yes, yes. As you started describing the book, I've read many of his books, so that is who you're talking about. But Stephen, that is so related to our conversation today, because most people live their lives almost by, let me just put it this way: live life by default. In other words, they just, they wake up, they go to work, they do whatever they do, and life happens, right?
Right.
And that becomes, we learn that, at certain time you go to college, after college you get married, when you get married you get a dog and you have children or whatever, whatever that looks like, and that becomes life living by default. And, we've been conditioned to believe that that's just the way it is. But this conversation today, it's really about changing that existing paradigm and knowing that we all have the power. Just like you said, we have the power to make our day whatever we want our day to be. We also have the power to rewrite, to reinvent what our future is going to look like, whatever that is. Now, that doesn't mean that you just get to say it and it shows up. It just, it requires a whole lot of work, a whole lot of intention, a whole lot of purpose behind that. But we all have that power. We have the power to stop that default mechanism that comes. It's almost like automatic. You do nothing and just life happens, versus you saying, no, this is how I want life to happen. This is what I want. This is how it's going to be. And then life shows up that way. I don't know, Stephen, does that make sense for you?
Yeah, of course it does. It's unfortunate that most people, and this is what I was talking to this woman yesterday about at the end of the reading, is that most people just don't do it because they either think it's cliche, like, thinking positive thoughts before you go to sleep, or they just forget about it, or they don't believe it, or they will do it for a couple of days or even a week or a couple of weeks and feel like, I'm going downhill, never mind uphill, and then they completely stop it, not realizing that there's never a time limit associated with it. That's your ego. When you think this, listen, I've been doing this, so this should be changing. That's not the power of your soul in your internal frequency and vibration. That's really the power of your ego. I deserve it now because I've been working on it. So there's no time limit. So you just do it. You believe in it. You trust it, and it happens.
Yeah, and there are narratives. There are conversations that we all, hold, that we've been taught, that we've been conditioned to believe, that are designed to feed life by default. Conversations like, I don't have enough time to do what I want to do. Yeah. I don't have enough money to do what I want to do. I'm too old to start all over again. I'm not as strong as to do what I think I could have done when I was younger, or whatever that is. There's so many of those conversations that are so designed to just put the lid on what's possible. And I think the first step is really being self-aware. Are you feeding onto those conversations? Because if you are, the first step is, let's create a whole new conversation. Because the reality is, I'm too old, I'm too, I'm not fit, I'm not smart, I don't have time. That the reality is that all of that is just a made up conversation that's designed to keep you status quo, living by default. So,
And you know what, Felix? When you're talking about that, what I think about is one of my favorite lines from The Golden Girls when Rose has a heart attack, and all four women get this realization about how close this could have been, that she could have died, and they're all around Rose's bed, and they all start talking about what they're going to change. And Sophia, who at that point is like supposed to be like in her 80s, says she's going to go to law school, and her daughter Dorothy said, "Are you crazy? You'll be 92 by the time you finish." And she looked back at her daughter and said, "I'll be 92 anyway."
Exactly.
So it's a great line.
No, I love that. And again, honestly, Stephen, I think you've taught me, how to shift that paradigm for myself. You and I never think of life from an age perspective. And, we sort of catch each other with when we speak those very self-limiting lines, because that's what they are. They're just self-limiting. They're
Yes.
designed they're designed to limit your ability to do whatever it is you have. And that's why, I love the idea of having Sam Clark, our guest today, talk about how she went from being an educator to being an entrepreneur to creating a business. I'm sure that wasn't easy. And by the way, a lot of my clients do the same. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But they're stepping into doing something that they love because they believe it is possible. Like many of us, they also have had the same conversations. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. How can I live my secure job to take a chance on this? Yeah, sure. When people come to me and they ask me, well, how can I do that? I get it. I get it. There's nothing, I'm not here to convince you of anything different. Yeah, that's a real conversation. That's a real concern. You need to find how it is that you're going to change that for yourself. And I think that's what we do. We are the vessel. This show is a vessel to be thought provoking, to help you think beyond that very old existing safe paradigm. So that's what I got to say, Stephen. And you know what else I got to say?
That we need a commercial?
We need a commercial break. So let's take a commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to have Sam Clark, our guest for today, talking about rewriting your life, going from educator to entrepreneur. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen Frederick.
Oh, thank God! I was scared that you were gonna be MIA again during.
You thought I was going to be in spirit?
I don't know, because the last time when I started the show, and I'm like, and my co-host, and then there's silence. There's nothing. I'm like, oh dear. Please tell me he's still with me. Anyways, but today we're having a wonderful conversation about rewriting your life, going from being an educator to an entrepreneur. And we have a very special guest, special for many reasons. Sam Clark is a proofreader. She's an editor, writer, and also she left a career in education to become, to start an entrepreneur journey. In addition to that, she's also very, very special because she played a very big role in bringing my amazing husband and co-host, Stephen the Medium's book, The Suicide Gift, to life. So please help me welcome the wonderful Sam Clark. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Elix.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. It's wonderful to meet you. I've heard so many good things about you. And this is a wonderful opportunity to learn more about you, your journey, and your relationship with Stephen in editing his book. By the way, Sam, if you do have a radio or you're listening to the show, make sure you mute that because otherwise we can hear the feedback in the live show. But anyways, having said that, welcome to the show. And let's start with this, Sam. So tell us about your own journey, going from being an educator, having a career in education, and then deciding, I want to do what I love, and stepping into the unknown in just following your passion, your love, and starting your own business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a number of different things. So the pandemic played a big part into it, I'm going to say, too. I felt like that changed things. To introduce what I was a middle school counselor. So I worked with 7th and 8th grade students as their counselor. So I talked to students, teachers, parents. It's a very important job, but a very draining job. And the pandemic changed things, working from home. Felt like the atmosphere changed for a lot of reasons. And then right after we went back to being in person, I also had my first baby. And that kind of changed my perspective on things. So that, in addition to some new supervisors that didn't really jive with my style, it all kind of came together of me realizing I'm really not happy going to work. Like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. I just wasn't happy. And it kind of got my wheels turning of like, do I really want to do this? Like, do I want to be away from my baby to be somewhere that I don't want to be, that's not making me happy? And that's kind of what started it. A very supportive husband played a big role into that as well. And thinking like, well, what else could I do? What would I do if I wasn't? Because I've been an educator my whole professional life. And I started thinking, well, what do I like to do? What other skills do I have? And what could I do outside of the school building? And I thought about proofreading and editing, which I've been doing kind of on the side since I was in college. And I went for it. So that's kind of my story of how it got started.
Well, that's wonderful. And I will tell you this, Sam, I'm sure your story is very familiar to many of our listeners. It's familiar to me and Stephen because that's how we both supported each other. So I know as a new mom and having that support from your husband, that's very meaningful. So you're here, your story, I'm sure it's one that will inspire many others to step into action. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. And Mr. Stephen the Medium, you're not the elephant, Stephen, but the subject is the elephant. But let's talk about that because you and Stephen got to meet. You play a very important role in getting behind the success of his book, The Suicide Gift. So why don't you guys tell us about how you met and how this came to be, Stephen?
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, Sam, I'm so excited that you're here and we get to do this. So, just from my perspective, when I was at the point of looking for somebody to edit the book, proofread the book, and just make it a spectacular book, I went through, I think it was Upwork, I can't remember, and I just started, from a recommendation, I just started looking for people, and I reached out to you and some other people. I think that's how it worked. I can't really remember. All I know, Sam, is that there were like 12 people that sent me messages just about they're available to do this, and when I went down the number of people that had sort of acknowledged me looking for someone to edit, I stopped at Samantha and thought, I don't know why, but I need to move forward with Sam. And that's really how it happened. And I was a little bit concerned too, because The Suicide Gift is just a little bit, in my head anyway, it's a different book, and I was thinking, oh my God, is this woman Sam going to think like I'm nuts? Like this book is crazy, and not want to even be part of it? That was in my head, and it was the complete opposite, Sam. I mean, the fact that our journey was so incredible, again, from my perspective, because you got it. You weren't somebody who was mechanical and just did an amazing job with editing or proofreading, which you did both. You brought the style and questioned things and knew how the spirit world connected. I was, as Elix knows, and why we wanted you on here, I was just so impressed, Sam.
Well, thank you so much for saying that.
Well, Sam, I'm curious. What was the experience like for you? Because again, you're going from, being an educator, having a new baby, being a new mom, and then you make this connection with Stephen. What was that experience like for you? What did you learn?
Well, it was similar, but the opposite side of where I was on that website starting out, because I was brand new to starting my business. Family or friends would check in, like, how's it going? Any work? And I'd always be like, nope, no clients yet. But, so I started on that website to just try to get my foot in the door with some work. And I'm like, I don't have any experience, like, on this website. Who's going to pick me? I know it's super competitive. And then I heard back from Stephen, and I was just so excited. I'm like, a book, to work with. And then when I found out what the book was about, I was even more excited. And then I had the same feeling. We had a Zoom chat, Stephen, and we just clicked. We just liked each other, and I was like, oh, this is going to be, like, not only do I have work, yes, but this is going to be, like, a fun project, and it was. So I was just so excited for many different reasons, and then and I learned a ton. Like, it was my first big project on my own. Like, I had done some editing of books prior, but not as Emerald City editing, which was what I was trying to become, So I think the biggest thing I learned was that I could do it and that I liked it, and what to look for. Because now I have my own boss and I get to choose those things, and it just was really empowering, and it kind of set the tone for me setting out on my entrepreneurial journey. Just seeing, like, I can like my work. I don't have to go somewhere and be miserable just because it's work. So I learned a ton.
That's awesome.
I was just going to say, Elix, I was very saddened, Sam, when we finished, when I knew this was going to be over, because, in several months, the two of us were just engaged with conversation, and me, even though it was work for you and it was work for me, because, I was watching what you put in all your notes, and they were fabulous. But it was also that interaction, like you said, that I really felt like we clicked, and I missed it when the last email I remember getting was doing a Google review for you, and I'm like thinking in my head, oh my God, I love doing this review because it's so warranted, but it is also so sad. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, I got to get another book so that I can just reach out to Sam again. So I was really sad. I was sad that I wasn't coming at nighttime and looking and actually seeing you in real time, making changes. It was the whole experience for me, Sam, for my first book and from this end, and I know that's what you bring to the table, was you made me feel very comfortable. And because I mean, it was my first book, and I didn't know, am I going to become defensive with these comments? Is it going to jive? And the greatest thing about you, Sam, is that the balance you have being able to present something. And I remember there were things like, Stephen, you mentioned this, in the previous chapter, blah, blah, blah. And I just like, wow. But it was in such a very delicate way. It wasn't, you need to change this because it doesn't make sense. It was, here's my advice. This is why I'm giving you the advice. And there was not one thing that I did not listen to you and just sort of see what you were saying and change. So I got to tell you, I mean, I don't know if I ever said that in an email, but my gratitude to you, and you're all over that book too, is more than I can possibly ever express, Sam. You were just, for the first experience on this end, it was one of we finished and I thought, I want to do this again with Sam because it was such a great experience. So kudos to you.
And I think what you're really showcasing, Stephen, is that often we make judgments about an individual's capacity to do, an amazing job based on have they done it before, but it's not always necessarily that way. I think when somebody brings love and passion to what they do, this could be the first time, as it was the case for you, Sam, working with Stephen in this big project. But because you loved what you do, you were so vested in what you were doing. That's how it came across to Stephen as being such a committed partner,
Yes.
or such a committed partnership between the two of you. But we need to take a small commercial break. I'd love for you to hang in there with us because we have many more questions for you. So hang in there, and we're going to take a small break, and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen the Medium.
Stephen the Medium, who is also an attorney and my amazing and wonderful husband as well. And today we are talking about, our topic is rewriting your life, which we all have the opportunity to do, and going from educator to entrepreneur. And that is because our guest, Sam Clark, was somebody who spent her career as an educator and then decided to become a proofreader, editor, as an entrepreneur, running her own operation. And as importantly, she's also a very, very important part of editing and proofreading Stephen's book, The Suicide Gift. Welcome back, Sam.
Hello.
And Sam, so you talked about really finding love in what you do, and that's that love and that passion is what got you through. But I do have a question. How did you quiet some of those moments where perhaps that little voice in the background, you can't do this, or it's not going to happen, came to the surface? How did you quiet those little voices?
That's a great question, and one that I'm still trying to figure out.
Good answer.
I kind of, when people ask how it's going, I try to just say it's a roller coaster. Some days I feel great, and I'm super pumped about it. Like today, I'm on the radio. This is so exciting, And other days, I'm like, am I ever going to have a client again? What am I doing? Should I be going back to my old job? So it's every day is different. It's exhausting sometimes, but it's exciting too. And I think when I'm trying to quiet those negative voices, I think back to getting in the car in the morning, going to my old job, sitting there just dreading the next 8 hours, and how I don't feel that way anymore. And I try to focus on that and remind myself that, tomorrow might be different. So, yeah, I'm still working on that. It's definitely a big part of this life.
Yes, and I love that you're so genuine and authentic in answering that question, because honestly, that's what people need to hear. There's no magic solution. There's no magic way. There's no magic answer. This is, it's a day-to-day grind, and you got to step into it, and you got to give yourself grace in those days that you don't feel as good, and celebrate those days that you do really well. But that's what life looks like. Life is, has ups and downs, and our job is to embrace both the ups and the downs. So I love that. Stephen, do you have any, based on your relationship and your experience in working with Sam, any questions for her?
Yeah, well, Sam, first of all, I meant to bring this up at the beginning. Congratulations, because Sam just had a baby, a new baby, just a couple of months ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Yep.
Congratulations on that. Is this your second?
Yeah, this is my second.
Wow. So that's another sort of facet of what's going on with you, that you've got two young ones and still dealing with what you're dealing with. And it isn't easy, Sam. But I will tell you something that based on everything that I just sort of complimented you, and I don't even think I did a great job, because there's way more than what I really wanted to express. But when I listen to your story, I just think, my God. So, Sam, you already explained the story about going to a job you didn't like and switching. And I thought, my God, how many people feel that way? But the difference is the majority just don't do anything about it. They just don't, something as brave and courageous of, I want to do what I love, and I'm going to create my own business. And I will say, for you to be where you are right now, Sam, there's a reason for it. For you to be that brave and to connect with your soul and feel this is what I really love doing. And as Elix said, you hold on to those days like today that we're loving you being here too. And, this is going to go on in every media that you use to be able to re-listen to this podcast, which I love also. But I also think it's never easy when you do something like this, because I think you realize people like yourself somewhere in your brain has to have sort of felt, I need this change because it's like I'm living a life that's not mine. And when you switch to the life that is yours and you figure it out, which is amazing, it's not easy getting away from the years, as you mentioned, in your professional life being an educator. It's not easy getting away from that and starting this new career. So there's no question that this is just going to get better and better and better. And I think what Elix said, as I just sort of reiterated, is that you hold on to those amazing days that you're feeling really good. And I love what you said, that maybe tomorrow's going to be better. I always say that, Elix and I always say, it's not maybe, tomorrow will be better. And it just takes 1 second to get that email that there's another client. So I can just tell you that, thank God for me that you didn't decide to go back to working in school and not having this experience with me, and others need to experience you as much as I experienced you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad we're on the radio because I'm just blushing from all these compliments. Thank you.
Well, it's true.
Sam,
it's true.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that we connected, is because we do have that in common, where we left one career to pursue a passion. And maybe we didn't realize that about each other when we first met, but I see that very clearly now. Like, we really are following our own paths to make ourselves happy, I think. And I also want to touch on one of the many kind things that you said to me about just that I was gentle with editing. And I want to say that's because gentle with my comments to you about editing suggestions, I should say. And that's because I have a counseling background. And I'm bringing that up because that means that my background and my experience in my old job, even though school counseling and editing are not similar at all, I'm still using my old skills. Like, it's not a waste. And I think that's something that I can tell myself, too, of, getting my master's degree and spending 7 years working at a school. Like, I am applying it to what I'm doing now. And that makes me feel better, too. You really, can transfer old skills into new ways. Maybe if it doesn't seem obvious, you still are. So that's helpful for me, too.
And something for anyone who may be listening, who may be saying, you know what, I am Sam, because there are many people who find themselves on the fence trying to decide, what do I do? Unfortunately, 9 out of 10 people, they don't do anything because the old conversation is so powerful. But that one person that's listening, that's willing to just go ahead and jump and make that next move, what you just said, it's really valuable for them as well. Listen, we do need to take one more commercial break. I do have a question because I want you to start to think about, what advice would you give those individuals listening who find themselves, feeling and connected with your story, and they want to rewrite their future too. What advice would you have them? What is that one step that they should take? So think about that. We're going to take a small commercial break, and when we come back, we'll dive into what your thoughts are. We'll be right back.
Okay.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen Frederick.
Stephen DeMedium, also known as Stephen DeMedium. I'm my amazing, wonderful husband. And today we're talking to Sam Clark, and the topic of our conversation is rewriting your future. And in her case, going from being an educator to being an entrepreneur. Sam, before the break, I said to you, what advice would you give our listeners, people who may be sitting on the fence about ditching their careers that they don't like, that they hate getting up in the morning, to follow their dreams, whatever that might be? What advice would you have for them?
I think my best advice is that starting is the hardest part. I think it's scary to get started. I had a lot of thoughts of, well, I don't know how to get a business license. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And once I actually just sat down and did it, I was like, oh, this isn't that hard. And then it was less scary, and it was just like I made a list and I checked things off, and then before I knew it, I was able to say, like, I have a business. Imposter syndrome is real. I still do not feel that way a lot of the time, but yeah, getting started and just going for it, and maybe your situation doesn't allow you to go for it 100%, where you quit your job and you're starting a business the next day. You know, maybe you do it at nights or weekends or whenever you have time. But I think getting started is the hardest part, and once you do, you start to gain momentum.
I love what you're saying, because oftentimes people think that first step means they have to have it all done. They have to know everything. Everything has to be perfect. And the reality is, no, it doesn't. You just need to take that first step. I tell people, you don't need business cards. You don't need a website. You don't need anything. You need a first client. Just go get yourself a first client, and that will get you in motion. That will get you in action. That's a really, really wonderful piece of advice. Stephen, any last parting words for Sam?
Well, Samantha, the big question, your company is Emerald City Editing. So where did you come up with Emerald City Editing?
Well, I live in Seattle, which is the Emerald City, and I love Seattle. And I wanted to focus. I'm originally from New Jersey. I've lived here for 10 years, and I really love where I live now, and I wanted to focus on local businesses. Like, I'm interested in copywriting and just like working with my community, and so I wanted to pick something that was local sounding, and also I like alliteration because I like writing. So yeah, that's how I came up with it.
I love Sam. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Seattle is the Emerald City.
Yeah.
I learned something new, but I love it. Because
you know what, Sam? I promise you, he asked you, hoping and praying that it would have something to do with the Wizard of Oz, because that's all. That's what the only Emerald City that he knows. So
no, but you know what? Honestly, it's looking at the title of your company. It is I don't know how to say this, but it makes you sort of smile. It's a wonderful name, and then you add what you just talked about, Sam, in the community in Seattle being the Emerald City. That's pretty phenomenal. I did not know that, and I'm just there's nothing more for me to say except to anybody and everybody who is interested or doing their first book, their second book, or their 20th book, is to have a conversation with Sam Clark at Emerald City Editing, because you will not be disappointed. It just is an entire experience that I think everybody that is writing a book should have and get to share with you, Sam.
And I want to add to that, Sam. So for those who are listening and saying, I do have an interest in writing a book, I don't know, I need an editor or somebody to proofread, how can they get a hold of you? What is your business information and business contact?
I have a website, emeraldcityediting.com, that you can reach me on there. My email is on there. I'm just Sam at emeraldcityediting.com. And I also have an Instagram with the same name. So any of those ways would be great.
And Sam, I know you mentioned about, working with the local community, but you also have the ability to work virtually with anyone, no matter where they are.
Yeah. Yep. Look, Stephen is a great example on opposite sides of the country, and it worked fine. We were able to talk easily. So, yeah, I'm happy to work. That's kind of the beauty of this type of work and modern technology. It's very easy to work with anyone, anywhere.
There you have
Sam,
it.
I also have a question. And this is coming from a layperson because I don't know much about, you're the expert and much about the editing and proofreading. Where does ghostwriting come into this? Is that something that you already do, something that you would look at, or like how does that fall into the realm of your company?
I think it's slightly different. It's not something that I do as often. I have a client that I do more like technical writing for, but it's something that I'm open to depending on the project and the person, kind of like how you and I work together, Stephen, just kind of seeing if it's a good fit. But it's something that I would be open to talking about for sure.
I love that.
So there you have it. You have somebody who could help you make your own dreams a reality if you're looking to get your book written. Sam, thank you so much for taking time, attention out of your day to share that with us. We loved and appreciate having you here. I personally loved and appreciate learning so much about you after hearing everything that Stephen had to share. And we look forward to hearing from you more. And, and keep me in the background because, one of my goals is to get my book out, and I'll be looking for you for sure.
Oh,
you come highly recommended.
I would be honored to work with either one of you, Elix. I feel like I know you too from working with Stephen, and I was just excited to talk to you again, Stephen, too. So I really hope to talk to you again, and thank you so much for this opportunity to be on your show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
And Stephen, with that said, we are at the very top of the hour. So I know I wanted to leave some time so that you can talk about what's going on with you, what's coming up this weekend. So go ahead, tell people what you're up to.
I'm going to, but I'll just tell you, Elix, that based on this this episode, I hope, and I'm sure Sam does, but I hope Sam and everybody else listening understands and knows that it is such a huge accomplishment to do what Sam did, to
Yes.
be making that decision. That is so difficult and so hard. And I mean, you have to pull every single fiber of energy and connect with your soul to be able to do that. So to actually even make that change, I didn't say this to Sam, but when you make that change like that, your universe is guaranteed to give you all the support and success to make you successful in the new endeavor. So for anybody else that's listening and has done that or is thinking about doing that, it is definitely the rewards on the other side are just pretty amazing. So I wanted to say that.
I agree, Stephen. And I think also, it's not easy. It certainly isn't. If it was, I tell people all the time, listen, if it was easy, everyone would be an entrepreneur. Everyone would have their own business. It's not. Yeah. It requires, that you be committed. It requires that you, confront fears, the fear of the unknown, the fear of, what you've been told you can and cannot do. But I think what Sam said that it's so very true is, look, it doesn't have to look any particular way. Just take that one first step. Whatever that is for you, just take it. Step into it. Everything else will happen, perhaps, will come to you effortlessly. just after taking that first step. That's
yeah, and you know what?
my
When
own
you're doing something
experience.
like writing a book, you're also, for me anyway, I was on edge. You got so many things in your brain about, is this going to display exactly what I want it to display to the audience, and are people going to like it? And so you're coming from my end in that very sort of, that there's a lot of tension, and that's why I love Sam, is because it was so easy working with her, and she's not only so bright, but the way she just helped me was incredible. So, okay, so now
Let's
Sam's
talk
done
a little
blushing.
bit about you.
So,
Like I know it's really hard because you don't want to talk about you a lot,
No,
but I think this
no.
is necessary. So
And I
let's
did,
go.
you know what? I didn't even tell Sam. I forgot to tell her that in 2 days, it's a year that my book launched, December 8th, 2023. So thank you, Sam. So Sunday, I have an event in Braintree that is starting at 11 o'clock. So this is a really cool event also, because it's shopping. The Mary, who is organizing this, and this is a fundraiser for Braintree, one of the high school girls teams. She's got some, I don't know if it's five vendors coming in, five artists that you can get there at 10 o'clock and just do some shopping there. And then at 11 o'clock, I come on to do some reading. So I'm really excited about that. And January 5th, I have an event in Yarmouth, Cape Cod, Dunn & Sons. I think there's only 2 or 3 tickets left. And then in February 20th of 2025, I'm at Salvador's in Lawrence. So that's going to be a really great event too. So that's my itinerary.
And next week we are going to be in New York City for the annual Radio City Music Hall show, the Christmas show.
Rockettes, baby.
Yeah, because Stephen, it's friendly with all the Rockettes after all these years being in the first row. Seats 1 and 2. I
In
know
my
the
head.
seats. In your head. Well, yeah, in your head. There's a lot of things that happen in your head, Stephen. So anyway,
That's true.
so
That
we
is
will
true.
be there. So we are leaving Friday, so there will not be a show next week. And then the following week, you get to have Stephen all by himself, because that's the last Friday of. No, is it? No. Am I getting the dates
No,
right?
you're
or
I
no?
think you're going too far ahead.
Okay, no. So the 20th will be back. We'll have my show, and then the 27th, excuse me,
Yes.
we'll have Stephen do
Through the Static.
But the 20th will be back, and we'll have a wonderful show for you guys. And then the last thing is today is a very special day because Mark, our producer, he starts his Christmas music show, and he loves Christmas, so he's been waiting for this day for a long, long, long time. So we're very excited to support him in today's show, and I know he's going to play my favorite Feliz Navidad. Right, Mark?
And his show starts right after this show, Mark's Jukebox. As a matter of fact, Mark told me privately that next year he's going to start November 1st. Whenever his show starts, doing Christmas music. He loves it so much.
He loves it so.
Yeah.
If somebody loves Christmas more than we do, that would be Mark.
It would be Mark Clark.
Yeah. So, anyways, we are late. He needs to get going with his Christmas show. But thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Sam.
everyone at WARA 1320 AM radio. And, of course, our guest, Sam Clark. Thank you for joining us, for sharing your time and attention so generously. We won't be here next week. We'll see you on the 20th. We'll be right. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.